Hello everyone, and welcome to a TDR family video. Today we're talking about the finalists in the minigame contest.
And before we get to the finalists, we have several honorable mentions. These were games that we thought were amazing in one way or another, but didn't quite make the final cut. First honorable mention goes to Nodnam. He was 13 years old at the time he entered, and it was a game called Tele-Wool on PC. Actually would have been a finalist. However, his computer crashed and he lost the entire game and it was too complicated to rebuild. So, unfortunately, couldn't be a finalist, but we wanted to give him a huge shout out because it was an amazing looking game.
Yeah.
Can you describe it, Reid? What was it that we saw that looked so cool?
Well, there are 4 colors and it's a 2 to 4 player game. And you try and there's this dispenser and in the middle, and you want to collect ender pearls and coarse fruit to teleport from each color section, so you can get the dye for your color and string to make the wool. And then when the game ends, the person with the most wool wins.
That's right. So you're trying to dye the wool your color. And there are maybe 4 players, up to 4 players with 4 different colors. And you're using the ender pearls and the chorus fruit to teleport amongst these many chambers to try and find and collect all the different things that you can to get to make the wool and dye the wool.
Yeah.
Where there's just like, that was such a cool concept. Hadn't seen that.
Whenever you eat the coarse fruit, sometimes you get teleported out of the game.
It's because so much redstone had to be working around the outside of the chambers that there was a couple of places that you could get teleported to outside of the chambers. But that was fine, right? It was just like, okay, every now and then you get teleported to a place where you had to respawn and, start back over. And that was actually part of the game. It was kind of cool. So, good job, Nodnam. I'm so sorry you didn't have a backup copy of that game. That would have been awesome to play and throw into the final.
Who's the red team? I need to trade.
Another honorable mention that we have is a game entered by EthanTV123, and the game was called
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole. That's right. It was really clever. It was an arena made of, I think it was wood planks, something like that. Wood planks. It had a couple of spider webs across the middle like nets, and then it had several pits in the arena that you were trying to knock your opponent into the pit. And every time you did, you'd get a point, right? And then you could bounce out of the pit by stepping on the launch pad and it would bounce you back out. And what were they hitting each other with?
I think there was a bow and a stick. A punch 3 bow and a knockback 3 stick.
That's right. So they had a punch bow and a stick. And it was basically you were trying a little PvP, trying to knock your opponent either into the net, which gave you an advantage to then knock them with the stick closer and closer to a hole, or just try and get a good arrow or a good stick hit to knock them into the pit and get a point. That was really, really cool, really fun. It was Xbox 360, and heck of a fun game.
No! That was your chance.
And we wanted to give an honorable mention to the youngest team that entered the contest.
Andrew, Vivian, Reagan, a 3-kid team, ages 5, 6, and 7, entered a game called the Parkour Balance Race on Xbox One, I believe. It had a little bit of parkour and some balance beam. And then if you made it all the way around the course, then there was, I believe, a little treasure room where you could get some diamonds and emeralds. So, good job. It had all the characteristics of sort of beginning, middle, end, and celebration. Nice job, Andrew, Vivian, Reagan. There were several other really cool games that were entered. One with the absolute best name was Crazy Woman Who Loved Breadsticks. And in that one, I think there was actually a story going on. So it was a lot of storyboards as you go through. And you were trying to bring breadsticks to some lady, and then you find out that her sister might have died, and it was just kind of a little
crazy.
creepy story about getting sticks to this lady and then getting trapped and having to escape and getting blown up. It was a cool story game. One of the challenges was we wanted to be able to play through several times, and once you kind of know the story, it's kind of you already know the secrets and the traps, and so it's kind of a one-time playthrough game. But that was really cool. It was a really cool story game. Another one that really stood out was one called
Epic Flyer.
Epic Flyer, that's right. It was kind of like the game Glide on the Xbox, but it was in PC that they made this.
And it's where you start in Elytra, and you fly through rings, and then every time you fly through a ring, you get a diamond, and the diamonds are points.
That's right.
And the checkpoints are just beds.
That's right. So as you make it through from one stage to the next stage, there were several stages of trying to fly through the rings. You had a bed where you could sleep, and that would respawn you if you died on the next flight.
It was also really fun.
And then at the end, you landed, and you were trying to rescue your village, I think. It was in this big. It was in a big castle. They were all trapped. But
it ended up blowing you up.
It ended up bad. Yeah, you try and rescue them, and the whole building explodes. So, and then of course we also had some other parkour races that were pretty cool. And there was one called Evil Grandma. That was a little bit of a spooky one too.
Yeah.
It's a little more story based. But yeah, this was a really, really cool entries from all the contestants. And then we had 2 finalists that are going to be judged by our celebrity panel of YouTubers. Who's the first finalist, Reid?
It was NinBoyX99, and he built a game called Snow Go Go, which is a 2-player game.
2-player game. Maybe could have been a team game too, or a relay race. Had 3 stages. The first one was sort of a spleef race, right?
Yeah.
Over a snow area.
And you could actually break the blocks to make the other person fall in the water, which would give you a head start.
That's right. And you can also pick classes at the beginning, or a little bit of a buffer or something. One of you had a leap potion.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really liked about this part, and we found out afterwards, was one of the requirements is that you had to be able to reset the game and replay it fairly quickly. And he had designed this huge redstone apparatus outside of the playing field that would drop snow, and then pistons would push it back in to replace the snow. And on the Xbox 360, man, it was really cool that he had done that. So that was the first phase, and then after that, you climbed up the ladder, and
I think it was parkour.
there was a little parkour, snow hops, I think is what he called, and you could still use the leap potion if you had it.
Yeah, and and
you could also choose equipment,
right? The snow one, you actually can place snow blocks.
Or you could use the leaping if you had that before, and you could pick out some armor to wear.
Husky and polar bear.
Husky and polar bear. Yeah, so you could pick a husky or polar bear outfit and wear that. And then at the end of the parkour, there was stage 3.
Maze.
Which was
gray glass.
Gray glass was a misty fog maze.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there was a little shack where you could have hot cocoa, but for some reason the cocoa just wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you could go back and play it again. So that was part of the finalist number 1, Snow Go Go, 3-part minigame, really cool way of resetting the snow, and some good ideas with polar bear, husky, and some of the perks you could get at the beginning with the snowballs, the blocks, and the leaping potion. Yeah. The second finalist this year was MarkyShteyn, and he made a game called Waddle's Cell Game, which is a multi-stage. I'd say it was like 4 or 5 different stages, right? And this has to take place in Gravity Falls. In Gravity Falls, there's a pig called Waddles.
Yeah.
Waddles is sick, and so we got shrunk down, and we had to go through different parts of Waddle's body.
In the pig, yeah.
Through the pig, and basically clean out viruses or germs and make it through mazes and deliver important messages through the body's system. Okay, so part of that had to do with elytra and parkour.
Yeah, and
On the, was it
Thought.
mitochondria, the first phase?
mitochondria, I think.
I think that was the first phase.
Yeah.
And then another phase had to do with
Like,
a dropper.
oh yeah, a dropper. That one.
Right, dropper, where you had to
Yeah.
make it through the, I forget what it was, the ganglia, something or other. We had to drop through and make it to the next part of the body. There was a maze,
Yeah.
water maze, right?
Oh yeah.
We had to make it through. And then at the end, I think we made it to a place where we had to battle a virus or germs. I wasn't clear on virus or germs.
Yeah, it was.
But they were wither
It
skeletons.
was the DNA, and there were the skeletons.
That's right. And then with the DNA strands, we had to go and
Yeah.
battle them. And then at the end, we got teleported to a celebration room where we got free bacon. It was
Yeah.
not Waddles, though. It was
No.
not Waddles. So that was a really cool game. Now, this did use command blocks, and we weren't supposed to use command blocks. This did use command blocks, but there was nothing in the command blocks other than really teleporting from one stage to the next.
And saying what it is.
And, you know, giving you an idea of what the stage is.
Yeah,
You
you
could-
learn.
Yeah, and we learned a lot about the body. So watch that video. That was a really cool playthrough. And it's one that I think you could play through 2 or 3 times. There's different challenges each time. You get better at the parkour, you get better at the maze. You could work in a team, right? You could make it be a race, trying to get one place to the other. So a fairly versatile game.
Really fun to play.
Fun to play, learned a lot. Really cool. Last but not least, we made a demonstration game. So if you have an Xbox One, check out our 2 versus 2 co-op race. So it's a cooperative relay race where you have to solve puzzles. You have to have your partner help, either crafting something for you, pushing a button for you, opening a
really
door
anything.
for you.
Yeah. But like at the end, and then it's like who can get to the end first.
Love to play that with some more people too. And that is the
MiniGame build con.
Season 1 finalists and honorable mentions. Thanks for your patience in getting through all of the judging of this and getting some of the videos recorded. And we're excited to see who the judges pick to be the winner. So stay tuned for that.
And thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye. And if this was the first video you've seen of ours, please do consider subscribing and be sure to leave a thumbs up. Check out the video links down below, some of the entries and honorable mentions and finalists, and we'll look forward to hearing your comments down below.